I'm here because I've been, receive an invitation letter to give this talk, and so it is just very delighted to meet you all. So I'm delighted because I've already, have a very kind of very close relationship with the centers over many years. So the late the Venerable Geshe Longden was also personally a very close friend of mine. So we were obviously from even from the same monastery, even from Tibet. So we knew each other even then in Tibet for over maybe 8 years. Yeah. And then also we kept very close after we first came to India. There were the place called Baksa where all the monks were put together. So even in those days or times in Baksas, we knew each other very closely. And then also the friendship also continued. When I went to join the Sandup Varanasi University, and then the late Geshe was also there for 3 years, but I was there for 8 years. Yeah. And no need to mention then how after we I came here and then in Australia, so we kept our friendship very close. So the reason why I mentioned this, so it's these the friendships of the people which brings people together, and perhaps that's the reason why we are also here together. And I also would like to take this moment to thank you for all the members and students here, who really managed to keep the center really very well, and even though unfortunately after the passing away of the late Geshe, but it was very good for me to see how the center's been very well managed, and all the programs, everything's been going really well.
Yeah.
And so it's because I want to thank for all the effort that you put in this managing this, maintaining the centers program, keeping the center going, because through the centers, so that we are able to extend a great benefit to a lot of people, and that's why it gives me a tremendous pleasure, and I express my thanks from to all of you. And so, of course, the place where we are here, so it's called like the Dharma center, and so the organization is like the Buddhist, or the Dharma center. So, we need, what does that mean? So the Dharma center or the organization, so it has the, we use with the name of the center, it's got a term Dharma, so which you all know is a Sanskrit term. So literally, so Dharma means something that which hold, which protect, from being, fall apart or falling down. And we also, this term, very same term, Dharma, is also used to refer to all the things that exist. So, but that's the different meanings. So the term Dharma also refers to this, cup, which is also really, in fact, it's also a Dharma. So in the context of this, the cup as being a Dharma, then the meaning, the literal meaning of Dharma as something that holds. So what does that mean? It's something that holds. The cup has its own specific, entity or characteristics which makes it very unique, and that's why whenever we look at that object, the cup, so we all have some sort of perceptions of some of which perceiving certain very specific object with a specific shapes and so forth. So, but then the term Dharma, when you use in the context of something that we practice, we put in practice in our life, and then we need to know, in order to practice the Dharma, so we need to know exactly what is that Dharma means to us. So Dharma as a term, Dharma as a something that we a spiritual practice, something practice that we we integrate in our life. Then what it means, what it implies, it literally means something to train or to transforming, to change or transforming our mind. So in that context, so it is a practice which we apply to our, for example, to our thought or our mind, and from that in that context, so the meaning of the Dharma as a means of something that holds up means to then to hold our mind from being following after the like a perverted or a wrong objects. So we have to take in terms of the Dharma as a practice. Then it means the practice which enable us to keep the mind on the right directions, right objects.
That's on the this one of the portion of God, so sanctity
So based on what we just mentioned about the term Dharma means in the context of our practice, then it clearly indicates it is when we talk about practice of Dharma, then it indicates something that we need to relate it to our mind, and also if we take into Dharma, take into meditation as we regard that as a practice of Dharma, then again we have to understand that it has to be, our meditation also has to be something related to our mind. So this the meaning of Dharma, as we just discussing here, is a very general one, and that is something which we can understand the same meaning, in the context of all the other the religious all the even the word and the Dharma or the spiritualities. So practice, which is also we can also to understand the same in the other faith school or the religious tradition as well. So, but we need to focus, when we talk about Dharma, so we need to focus on the Dharma that as taught by the Lord Buddha, and so we need to focus what's Dharma or that the Lord Buddha taught us, and what is the practice that we are supposed to do according to the Lord Buddha's teachings. So in this context, in the context of the Dharma as the practice, as according to the Buddha, Lord Buddha, then it is the practice is really the main principle, or the basis of the practice is the non-harmfulness, principle of non-harmfulness or non-violence, and so it is based on that as our the practice, and then we have a sense of we have a venerations to the Lord Buddha as our guide or as our teacher. So that we can say is the Buddha Dharmas.
that kitchen yours okay, Chiba, Sam about Shizuka, that then she would Yabu's reservoir. Sam never said, must see annual run annual no standard. Lebaton is standard. Is that Miss Oga diligent, suggests that Zobel and Sachima soldier on me. Colonial letter we are my tea. So good, you said the garden. Concha never said it. Sam may be cheated. Sam may be just in your legend, then Sam never saying a mother take every one. Molan Sam never thought him with your reward. Something went also the after.
So since the everyone in the world actually have a high regard to any that practice which respects others, which emphasize on the refraining from any act of harm towards others. So because of this, then we can say that the teachings that was of the Lord Buddha. So it's also very something which is becomes very kind of like acceptable for the a lot of people in the world, and so it is something which the teaching as a teaching is based on that very principle of refraining from harmfulness. So therefore it is something which whoever you teach that message, that teach that it is something very acceptable and something very admirable.
This has got Pennsylvania China. Taking Robert, taking China, Zombie, Sheden, you know. Is that? Hey, I won't do that. So the TV and some don't get to which other is it. You know, the Zana, you get to the Sony of Tonga.
So in general, so it is very clear that we all, everyone in the world, that whether we seek peace and happiness. So whether we take into account of a single person or two people, or as a whole, as a as a whole, in the people, all people in the world. So we all seek this. We all look for peace and happiness, and then as we think about the main factor, the main cause for that which brings about this the peace and happiness, then we can recognize that it is this what, as we were just saying, this this the principle of the this non-harmfulness or of refraining from any harm. So in another word, there is we can create like this peace and happiness if we people in the world if we share the love and the compassion with each others. So this we can also notice how when even if there's two people who are living together, if they share the love and compassion to each other, and they've been very helpful to each others, then how then they it brings a genuine peace and happiness in their life. So therefore there is no these days we talk about the even peace and happiness on a larger scale, like a world peace and happiness. And so if we have to bring that, then it is we cannot it is a human, as a human being have to create bring that peace, world peace and happiness. So it is not something that possible for the the animal to bring that peace and happiness. So therefore, what as a human being for human beings, so what we have to do is to how we can what is the main tools, main cause for us to bring about the peace and happiness in one individual life or in the world. Then these we really have to work on our own initially on our own mind.
Sono tetto le da sono tetto le te da care sono tetto sono tetto no ne mando so mando come da come the process the chairman do in chile sei na se drug we said fa to go ji ke ta yin ge ana le chile tamran da mon no sa ta to ya ma King lost a chip drug with the kind, part talk with the kind, and then go lost of Tony in Roya.
So with regard to now to training our mind, then we simply have to check, take into account, doesn't matter what the religion you or the spiritual tradition you follow. So basically, all these traditions, so they talk about two things. One thing is they teach us what to adopt, what to accept in our life, and then on the other hand to what to reject or to abandon in our life.
So part of the slow get a mother, chip drug with a slow get a mother, room sang it in the usually get a ship or I don't know why, sang it in the ship.
So as you think, contemplate on this, and contemplate what that if the spiritual tradition teach us about what to accept and what to reject, and then if we applied this our own like intelligent like discriminating knowledge to what these all are saying, then they are not saying about this accept and reject in terms of the external world or external objects. So rather, it's something talking about something that with internally, what to accept and what to reject.
파토거야 동안에 동안도 딩고는 만도 많이 내가 가면 딩고 놓고야 가리 되고죠 만도 지 저게야 너네 그다 많이 봐도 잘라서 지 넣는 거죠 잘라서 그러면 너 내가 된다 가리 되는 sep트 파토거 딩고 놓고야 sep트 그냥 가는 만도 내가 그래 봐 파토 만도 동안에 얘네 또 손을 약고 또나 싫어 제부터 땐데 제가 이게 저리 가르쳐가 가르니 제 제가 가르쳐 지야가 아마 대안 되게 대체는 내가 되고 그러기 내가 사실 되고 내가 저는 내지 가는 것도 대안들 문제가 가는 것도 중화들 다 되는 거 다 맞아 우리의 선포는 대부분 맞아 선포를 해서 소서 대화를 소서 중화과세 다 세계 통제 뭐제다 대화를 중화세 대용 거야래 또 저는 맞아 담아봐 롱게 대화를 롱게 중화세들에 뭐 대예자자 소서 샤 거이나 소서 대화 야진들이 대화 말아 대화 야진들 같이 중화과 일 중화 출 여기 제게 봐 다 트레이닝 한다지 그래 그거요. 근데 영화 써서도 맞는 치고 쏘는 돈이 영화라는 거지. 얘까지 가보지야 돼.
So what to accept, or what to find or achieve is really the happiness, and what we need to avoid or to reject is unhappiness and sufferings. So these two, which we really need to to remember in our mind all the times, and we really have to check that whether how on each day like how whatever we are doing from morning till the end of the day, sometimes we might be keeping ourselves extremely busy, but then we need to important to check how we are doing, how we have to measure our what we the life, our activities in terms of these two, whether we are achieving this happiness that we seek and the able to overcome to remove the suffering in our life. So and this of course we can talk about the practice to benefit others in terms of helping others to gain happiness and to alleviate suffering in their life, but really as a very ordinary being, ordinary practitioners, then first of all we should be focusing on ourselves, whether really what we are doing in our life, whether that is able to to increase more happiness and to decrease suffering in our life, and so therefore it becomes very important for us to really have to give up contemplate on now if that's what what we seek in life is happiness, and to avoiding it and is a suffering, and then to contemplate on the cause and the effect of that. What we do, whether we have to consider, we have to look into whether our thoughts or the actions that we create in our everyday life, whether this is bringing the happiness or not, or being able to avoid suffering or not. So from this perspective, when we to looking into the true causes of what we want and what we do not want in our life, and this is something that we will find in the spiritual teachings. It's not something very unlikely to find in some other learnings. So that's why we're trying to learn about the Dharma and the meditations. So as to the ways and means to find happiness and to eliminating sufferings, then then there are, we might notice there are so many, there are various means and ways and means to do that. So, and if we take into account of what in general is, what in the world most of the people, what they consider, what kind of ways and means they regard, they consider or recognize as a way to eliminate, find happiness and eliminate sufferings, then of course then we can notice that it is really based on the external objects or the external world, in terms of the external world, and also this is the apparent from the fact that how then to the most generally, so most people their mind, their thought is very much oriented towards the pretty much 100% towards the the external objects, and trying to find all the pleasant objects, or to avoid something with unpleasant objects. So everything is based on that, on the external objects or the material objects, and so therefore now we have to, if we think about it, of course, then to some extent we might agree with that, or we cannot really completely find wrong in that. No. But 세주 제반다 배 타치도 말했어요, 메조스에서.
다 되게 재능 안 되게 용어라. 나도 미스텐 도와 되게 용어 좋아지.
So this is from the fact that how as a result of all the effort that we put in the external world, that we are able to improve the better the facilities, better living conditions in our life.
这个地方考虑我们的现在这个，中医地方考虑我们的，这里见呢，这个嘛就对了，这个地方现在在这个地直接当面的人说啊，人给他对了对了，给他这个地方考虑没了，俺都是啥地方这个地方情况，现在啥这个特别也这个地方搞不对吧？这些嘛俺都考虑地方有啊。我在这呢，这第一个这个地方是，这个地方是，那个拿下来呢，我们直接也没有从这些了对吧？现在呢，这直接定，俺这个地方这定的，那个地方是定的是点点对吧
？So so because of this, the favorable, the material conditions that which we, brings, gather together in our life. So we can obviously see there the benefit, in terms of, removing various kinds of sufferings, such as particularly those which are related to our physical body, such as because of this, the external, the abundance of the food, for example, then we don't have to, undergo the suffering of like a starvation. We don't have to starve to death, and likewise, we're able to overcome the problems of like intense like cold or heat, and then likewise because of all the development of the health science, that how we are able to alleviate so many like the physical diseases. So we can acknowledge this fact that how there's through some material developments, there are the benefit of the overcoming various kinds of sufferings, of miseries, which otherwise would be we won't be able to overcome that. So since this is something that when when you talk about the happiness, even on the talk of the happiness on the level of this physical or material level, that's also something that we need, we must have, and so therefore we would also have to say that that to one hand the material development is also very beneficial for our life. So despite these advantages or the benefits of this, such as the material good conditions, so now the question the question remained is whether this good conditions, material good condition, does it also brings happiness on our mental level or not? So when we ask this question, then there is there's a question mark. Yes. No.
생을 대하라 마페바데 간제용 세 대하라 제 편도 만도 렉다 생을 대하라 마페바데 간제다 용은 만도 수만 돈은 만도 야고 제템이 지바지 얘기를 해.
So so if we check, then the suitable material conditions, so it doesn't necessarily serve as a cause to bring about this happiness on a mental level or within ourselves. So therefore now we need to by using our own now the intelligent mind or this the discerning wisdoms. Now, if we need to check if we examine, why is this, then we can find the answer ourselves.
뭐 생기들라 콜라딘 제생이들 콜라딘 차도 콜라딘 맞아요 콜라딘 제가 체세이들 어떤지 레제레네 이다 다 맞아서 내가 세들 대야 뭐 영어 뭔지 와 와서 들려서 만든 게 되시는 거야 특히 콜라딘 대바야 제진이라 되지. 나 로는 영화제 내는 콜라딘 하나다 레세이다. 로는 나만아 제진은 콜라딘 제지. 콜라다 맞아요. 로는 포마지는 그때는 카드 차도. 전쟁이다. 냐모를 되는데 안 써도 되는 제 가래 제 키제 와라 손 들도는 대리면은 시 특제의 생대하다 해서 내가 대도는 내가 논진에 대노데 시 특제의 생대하는 뭐가 맞네 노 생들이 용다 손은 대하고 돈에 하고 제가 해야 된다.
So we need to ask this question to ourselves that why is this the external development or progress necessarily brings the happiness or serve as a cause to increase happiness within our mind. So when we ask this question, then we will find that the fault is not really lies with those external conditions. So rather, it lies with something within ourselves, which how the not with the lack of lacking control of our own emotion, our own thoughts, and so therefore how even if we externally we see some increase in our wealth and doing well, and how along with that in the internally if we let that make those external progress as a cause to increase, like in another word, like a mental afflictions, such as increasing desires, or increasing the like the thought of sense of competitions, towards against those who are equal to oneself, or also to increasing the pride, just by looking down on those who are below oneself, and likewise how if we let because of this along with this material progress. So if you let all this mental affliction increase, like bigotry, and so forth, then there is no, we won't see any increase in happiness, and so therefore it is not the it is the blame. It really doesn't goes into those good conditions, but rather goes to our own, the reason why we lack the happiness, this peace in our mind, within ourselves, despite the fact that we are surrounded by such a wonderful living conditions. So it's because of this, the not controlling our mind, and because of the generating or filling our mind with so various mental afflictions.
This one of Yabo's cause on this one of the cause on a Sam Monday shared. Send the man was out on the same, send Yamo, Yamo with a Yeshan time. There's a much him. But there's a much him, that boy Jab never tell it. Send the one, Devate, send them there. Same mandala, wrong same mandala. So you can send the one Devate, that the Mema Chevaches, so going with that. Then in that saying on the carpet, Miss had the wrong one, them. Monday, the wrong same. Send Yamo. Yamo under Dungeon and some time this was an under Tang and a June. Say wrong one the Latin, was I on send day with that, and a task. Remember, time is there, so send day chatted the left. Send the winner, say the eye about him, watching plus send the good, so I'm going to let you out. Take this on the alcohol, we are at 10,000 only. So how, if mind is not checked or not brought under control, then we cannot be at peace, at happiness, and then even those the good external conditions that we find in our life also doesn't serve the purpose to bring happiness, and so therefore on the other hand, how we can also find that the moment that we are able to bring the mind under control, then we can find the happiness, the peace and happiness within ourselves, and so that's why the Lord Buddha said that the subduing or controlling one's mind is the happiness, and so therefore when we think on this, we can realize how our situation, the problematic situation, is because that we are controlled, because in our realities, so we are controlled by our mind, and then we see that how if our mind is controlled or overpowered by the mental afflictions, and then as a result of that, as a result of mind being overpowered by this mental affliction, then this is where then we find ourselves in a very unending problems, and so therefore if you reverse that order, how then if we overcome these mental afflictions, and by bringing the mind fully under our control, then we will truly find ourselves at peace and happiness. 생길 시대 생도 맞아 봐 생년 오늘은 생길 시대면 아무 하고거든요. 생도 계속 본 거야. 나 그냥 아주 손으로 돈은 로생 온다. 생년 온다. 그 가르에서 새로운 온도만 대시하는 토는 얘네 새 만드나 생년 온다나 생들은 얘네 시대하고 내가 아주 그냥 맞다 아주 계속만 한 거.
So in fact what we are discussing here, so it is something which we normally really don't give much thought, but however if we give a thought on this, then what we are saying here is very very apparent in our even we can learn, we can find this is very true even on the basis of our own experience of our life, that how we can on the basis of our own experience we clearly see that how that if our mind is inflicted with all these various afflictions, then no matter what, then we find ourselves in very bad, very miserable conditions. So whereas how the moment we are able to, we don't have any such the mental afflictions, influence of mental affliction on our mind, then how we have the peace and all our situation under our control.
말아 깨져 밥이 어디 만드셔. 수설을 내서 세는 맞아 때 생겨라 표현이와. 레노서 소소 내는 건데 세도 가자 예배 따뜻 손으로 몸이 써올 때 맞아 얘네지 소리나 파용이다. 그러니까 이사 마시는 세대 소소 비니워나. 소소 니워나. 보거나 칸 내모나 보거 진짜 아미 가면 칸 내가 아무 데나 버르는 시대면 뭐는 용어묘 대노에 세도 와서 내모나 소소 칸 내모 시사만 칸 내비잖아 되는 준 정도가 배우기와 상태도
So the whole the point of now our spiritual practice or the meditation practice so is to really to bring our mind, this unruly mind, under control. So as we have just said before, that our situation is because we are under the control of our mind, or we are always being led by our mind, and then how that mind that lead us is, if it has always been under the influence of such mental afflictions, then the result will be always there's an unending suffering and a problem for ourselves. So therefore, we have to understand that the only way to bring peace, bring happiness in our or the sustainable way of bringing peace and happiness in our life, so is really the bringing one's own mind under control, and how you do that, then to in simple language, then to try to, as much as possible, to trying to be keep the mind at present, wherever you are, wherever your body is, like for example, if you are sitting on a cushion, then your body is sitting on the cushion, then your mind should also be here. And how, on the other hand, how if we can be externally or physically on a very peaceful place, but however, if our mind is not very disturbed or distracted, then sometimes, how this can be, as a result of that, we could even in that that very moment, then we can even experience a very stress or tension in our mind, and so therefore the practice so is to trying to make the mind as bring the mind as close as possible to yourself. You build this very closeness with your own mind. Like just as like if you use an analogy of like how a mother could have a very very favorite child, and how when the child is around, that it gives her a lot of satisfactions. So in a similar way, if you can imagine that if our mind is such a if you turn our mind into something such a very like a favorite child, and something very humble, very pleasing, then there is naturally we will find ourselves. We will gain some sort of satisfaction because of that also. So, due to restraint on time, so we can't go to much detail, and so now, of course, we're here to talk about the meditation practice. Now, just to put aside these, meditation. When you engage in meditation practice, so there are, it's very beneficial to adopt the proper, postures, and then generally, so speaking, so if you say what is meditation practice, then it is the practice, so where it is a form of practice or a discipline, so where we direct or they keep the mind on focus on the internal object. So in meditation practice, so it's very the single most important thing is to retain our mental concentration on fully on the object, the object of meditations. So if we do that, then if we are able to fully focus on the mind on the object, then we are able to derive some real benefit in terms of enhancing more the clarities, more sense of the mindfulness, and we could feel we can find the potential or the energy, enhance the energy within our mind. So as it said, it's like just as like how, whereas if the concentration, mental attention is not directed, completely fully directed to the object, then such practice won't be so effective, so powerful. It would be like if you have a river, flow of river, if that is dispersed to various direction, then it will lose its the current, power, force of its current. So therefore, in this way, if our mind in the meditation, so if our attention is not completely on the object, then on the meditation on the object, then our practice won't be that as effective or not that beneficial. So therefore, it's important to, as much as possible, to trying to when we trying to overcome all the mental distractions and to ensuring that the mind is fully focused on the objects. So there is no doubt that there's if we follow the meditation practice, that we can derive a great benefit from the practice, something benefit which we can really one of the benefit is that something we can we can apply that in our life and to resolving various certain crisis or problem in our life. So this is why we can say that how there's a difference between two people who face a life crisis in their life, and one who is really familiar with the meditation practice, and the other who know nothing about the meditation practice. Then the one who doesn't know anything, have no idea of the meditation practice, then there's really not much that person can do other than just to, all the time just still keep pondering on that problem. And then of course if you do that, then it only make the situation worse. And so rather the person who has some taste of the meditation practice and the effectiveness of the meditation practice, then can overcome the such handle such a situation through the meditation practice very well also.
control 가세 제나요 어때서는 selama chewan ra aje ngando ki nyoi ri de da kiro ma da da ngando nyoi ri ba kiro chabo sani da ma da chebo za ngando nyoi da kashe nyoi je ri kanga je bai yena da kiro ngando kanga ji je yong da nyong da chebo je ro se ma da chebo da de chebo je le la kiro nyamo ri kiro nyaba 자, 예바야다 큰지 녀모도 셔바고 제바고 된제겠지 뭐지 연계 되려 그런데 그래라 그래 사자 먹거를 마다 니 세트지 그래 something 그래 야보면 예반되는 데도네 예되네 소소 세드 근데 이거 되게 제도 세드 셔바고 제바고 되는 거야 지금 뭐도 대샤 노 근데 내가 사냐 근데 뭐다 대샤를 셔르는 야기를
we can also talk in terms of the benefit of the having the knowledge of like a mind thought transformation or the mind trainings. So how the benefits these trainings are beneficial in our dealing with the various really everyday life situation, problematic situations. So for example, the one very common cause of our problem in life is the managing. Sometimes it can be managing our anger or the hatred, and how the again whether we are we are familiar with this mind training or not. But this is something such afflictive emotion like the anger is something that at some point of our life that we will have to we experience that, and so therefore there is the difference, how when we experience such the unwanted such affliction like the anger, and then how if you are familiar with this the mind training or thought transformation, then how you should do, and which is to trying to look at rather than to focusing on the object, which condition which serve as a cause to this arise anger. So rather you focus on your own, direct your focus inward, and because we have to direct the focus inwards, because the remedies really is within. We have to find it within ourselves, such as remedy is such as like cultivating loving kindness, or to generate like a tolerance. And so this is something as a quality, something we have to generate within ourselves, and so therefore by in that situation, so by directing one's focus within ourselves, and within even we can also direct the mental focus on the emotion, the afflictive emotion itself, and then we will find that how that as we look at and as we able to, and especially if we're able to cultivate some such like a tolerance, sense of tolerance or loving kindness. When we do that, and then immediately as an effect of that practice, that this we would in our mind become very peaceful and very relax, and so therefore there is in a time like that. So there's we can see there's an obvious benefit of such our spiritual practice. So how when in a situation or at a time when we the anger arises within us, and then if we direct our mind as I said before to within ourselves, and in fact even if we look at the nature of the anger itself. So in a way that we're trying to, by directing the mind inwards, so what we're doing is we're trying to divert the mind from that object, from the cause of the anger, or we are forgetting that object of the situation which cause the anger to arise. So by forgetting that, and then also how it is said that how, as if we look at the one way to overcome the anger is simply to look at the nature of the anger and it's the working, and try to know the working or the function of the anger, and then see the shortcoming or the destructiveness of the anger. So it is said that even as it is said, those who are heard about this teaching on the Mahamudra. So where it says if you watch simply the observing our mind very closely to this various conceptual thought, then these thoughts are self eliminated. So in this way, as we have a close look at the anger itself, its nature, its the activities of that anger, and then it's the shortcoming of the anger, then it has the such meditation has the effect of the making the anger losing its own ground to stay. So in this way, we find here that when we talk about this our spiritual Dharma practice or the meditation practice, and learning about this practice, so we will find all these are like almost like serve as guidance for our life. So, like just as how when we apply the practice in a situation when we to overcome the anger, and by applying the practice, so we somehow we able to manage or to overcome the anger. So in this way, the meditation or the spiritual has benefited us. So there are people even saying that they find it even beneficial, even simply to be aware, generally aware that even if you cannot really, sometimes you cannot even prevent the anger from arising, but however, just simply being aware of the fact that the anger is something very destructive, and something you have to remain very vigilant, very to about yourself, and when you are under the influence of anger. So simply aware of this. So people saying that they find it very helpful.
Yell Matia by Jetin said Heaven Taking Madness in the law. The Yapo told us over it. Tombo Telichi, Court Heaven, Yell Madia, the Matia, the Jetin and Yapu Yard. The Kalichi Consul, Oncochi Lesona, Yell Madia Moikas, and the Danachi, Machi 10 Yell Madia, you take on the same body. And I think on the left, no one to go home. Yes, now, send Madame. Here, Madia, Jagger, here, the time, and then Madame, you get some others, 10 years old. This is the Kale, got to send Manqua in there now, so the hell I have one with it. Yemen, Cholo Santo, never see you. Going never go there, never to it anyway. Then another level of a shell, and children.
So, and then another the method which we can also which also indicates some like really the benefit of the meditation practice, and also something which is very effective, and something we anyone can apply it quite easily. So that is just to understanding that how on one level how the certain happiness or suffering, or certain the pain or pleasures. So how this is all to do with the what kind of object that we bring in our mind. And so therefore, like just as how when certain object appear, or when we remember or think of that object, we feel it gives some sort of joy and pleasure. Whereas certain other object which it might has the effect of bringing a sadness, bringing a sufferings. So therefore, it is also very useful to trying to getting used to this practice of where if there's any object which really you find very disturbing and very which reminds you of something very sadness and make you suffer, then trying to forget that objects. So and of course again it may not be that it's easy to forget straight away, but however, if we at least make some effort to try to do that, and then we will find that it actually does work. As we put effort to try to forget that object, then eventually, as we become familiar with that training our mind to forgetting that object. When we become familiar with that training, then somehow then eventually that object doesn't appear in one's mind, and this also this method technique is also, you find it very effective, very useful in just to ensure the like a stable kind of peace and the relaxation source. So the when we think about the factor which make us to say I'm happy, I'm really happy, then when we look into that this main factor, then it's really mainly related to either to our the physical well-being. When that is good, we will be able to say I'm happy, or related to our mental mental happiness, mental well-beings. So generally speaking, so it's not so much to, people don't say that I'm happy because I've got a lot of money in the bank or because I've got a beautiful house. They don't say express that happiness in terms of that. So therefore, this it's very important. If we want to be this ourselves to be happy and this to make this what we have deep in within ourselves, we have an I, and this I has to be absolutely happy. There's really no reason for this I to nag or to complain about. Then what we need to do is to ensure that we have happiness on the both on the mental level and on the physical levels. So physical level, so we, as just said before, which is really related to our good living conditions, and of course our health of our body. So which is also very important. And then on the mental levels, then this is something we is the main focus of our talk. So which is to understanding that on the mental level, then what we need to do is to try to as much as possible to have the mind under our control, but rather than our mind always being overpowered or by various kind of mental afflictions. So therefore, having the mind under our control, then what we need to do is what we need to work on is to trying to get rid of those states of minds, those emotions, which are responsible for bringing unhappiness, bringing sadness, bringing sufferings, and whereas to work on cultivating and developing those states of mind which guarantees the happiness and joy in our life. So therefore in these regards, then we those states of mind which guarantee the peace and happiness for in our life are like to cultivating like the loving kindness, kind of the compassions. And so I say to the advice to the those people who are in a younger age, so they should of course focus on their career and how to best way to making money and so on. So at the same time, trying to, even at a young age, trying to get used to see the benefit of meditation practice and also make some effort to trying to cultivate and maintain a positive mental attitude, such as like being like a kindness, loving kindness, compassion to others. So in in one's daily lives, to be so more on a mental level, being more kind and caring, showing caring towards others. So, and then what we'll find is that if we work on this and then to create the right causes for to enhance a good our well-being, our physical well-being and the mental well-beings, then if we do well in that, then we will find that as we age, then not only we have nothing to complain about the living conditions, is all there, but at the same time there is since we have enriched ourselves with these inner qualities in our minds, in terms of the enrichment of our mind with the love and the loving kindness and the compassion, tolerance, and so forth. So therefore, there is really, when we do that, then there is really this, as I said before, then this I has really there's nothing to complain about. And even if then there is some, like we were saying, how when we if we apply this practice, meditation practice, and those mind training in our life, then even if there's the certain afflicted state of mind, like anger, even if it wants to arise, it won't be able to arise. So for example, if we have cultivated a loving kindness, cultivated, filled our mind with tolerance, then it's impossible for those to arise that. So in this way, it is important to we have to focus very important to focus on not only on our physical, improving our physical well-being, but but also on the mental well-being, and which especially which is very essential, as I said, especially when we are aged, then it is really what really brings of all the things, then what really is mostly that gives one this sense of peace and happiness is in the mental levels. So in this regard, so there are some the age the friend of mine who do appreciate, who do say to me that how they the benefit, the Dharma, the meditation that they have found in their life, how that is at the end, how that is the only thing that they find it most beneficial and meaningful in their life. So in this way, we trying to we all seek happiness, and then to understanding that the happiness, when we talk of that, so it's really relating to the happiness of our mind and on the body, and then to therefore to work on the respective causes, creating the respective causes for those enhancing the happiness. So in short, there is no need to mention that how important is our the physical health, and so therefore it's we must take good care of our the physical health in terms of the hygiene of the body and what we have to do, and because it's important to the healthy body and a very strong body, so it's very important for us, and likewise as I was saying, the health of mind is also very very important, and that is why when we take when you engage in follow the meditation practice, so it is a bit like the exercise or the hygiene, to improve the hygiene of our mind. So we want, so in a way, in order for us to be able to accomplish whatever we want to accomplish in our life, so we need a healthy body, strong body, as well as we need a very healthy mind, which is in terms of the clear thinking, and peaceful in mind, and then also with the wisdom, mind with the wisdom, knowledge. So this is, so we in another word, we are also saying that in a way that all this, these qualities, that we develop within our mind. So these are all also, if you like, are also like the clear thinking, wisdom, knowledge, and the power of mind. These are all also, if you like, they're also a bit like our tools or the equipments for us. These us for us to achieve, to accomplish what we want to accomplish. Well, I think we finished the time. Yeah. Yeah.
It's 10 past 4.
Ah.
It's 10 past 4.
She was Joshi. She干嘛去？she的干嘛去？ My, shall I say, is that enough?
On hours can cost us. No,
yeah, for talking, maybe there's still more to talk, but in terms of the time frame, maybe that will be enough, because there are some found that the 1 hour is enough time for us to maintain our concentration, and some people say beyond that, then they can't maintain their concentration. And so from this talk, of course, which I also say that at the end of the teaching at the center, at the Dharma center. So if there's something that you find it really useful, beneficial, then you just keep it. And but however, if you don't find anything useful, but other not useful, then you have to simply throw it away. And but however, you should not leave it here, please, because this is a shrine and it's a very special, holy place, but somewhere outside.